Okay, we're most of the way through day 2. Mike's finishing up the lighting. Lighting is the biggest, most tedious project, being it's overhead. But I'm going to start laying out flooring, and I like to do this a certain way, and a lot of it has to do with just keeping it neat and organized. But I first like to clean out the floor, clean out the area, then start to lay out the tile. We'll lay out the bulk. We always start on the garage door. I'll explain that as we're doing it. But I want to lay out the main floor and the pattern. We loosely design it. And then when you put it here in person, you may move a border or a color or a checkered pattern. You may move it around when it's actually physically in the room. And then we start to make our cuts. We make our cuts last. But we always start on the garage door, work your way back. Our cuts are going to be along the wall. And so this flooring here is painted. So this is a pretty typical painted concrete floor with lots of patches that are pulled up from tires, from hot tires, and scratches from moving things around over the years. Epoxy generally looks pretty similar as well. I know there are fans of epoxy. I'm not particularly a big fan of epoxy, and we'll talk about that as we're doing this project. And we'll also talk about some of the most common questions, common concerns, common gripes about plastic flooring, plastic interlocking tiles. I'll also tell you why I've landed on this and why we would do this in anybody's garage. But I think before we get started and do anything, we really need to vacuum this up and clean the floor. You could sweep it. I think what I'm going to do is actually just physically take the vacuum and cover every square of the inch of this before we start bringing some tile in. All right, Ed, plastic flooring. You're going to love this.
I love floors.
Anyone is qualified to do this.
Oh, okay, even me.
Yeah, I didn't say that. So we always start, when we start with the flooring, we start on the garage door. Right? And the reason for that is we want our edge pieces, which are at a, whatever degree this is, 45 or 30 degree angle. Okay. We want our edge pieces to butt up against the edge of whatever insulation or trim or whatever makes up the door. Okay. We are carrying a little bit of a curve. There's a little bit of a radius here in order for water to drain out, but the tile should be fine and it'll all snap together. But the reason we start on the door is because, think about this logically, I need my edge pieces to have something to anchor to. Okay. And so if I had a cut tile, I wouldn't be able to anchor anything to. So that if I cut the loops off, then there's nothing for the pegs to connect to. And so there are two types of edge pieces. These are these are pegged. You could also get looped edge pieces. So in this case, our floor tiles are going to have to start with the loops facing towards the door. Okay. And then we can decide which way makes sense, whether we turn it this way or this way. It really doesn't matter as we're starting out. I think we'll probably start it this way, and maybe we'll get lucky and won't have to cut up against the edge there. But this will dictate the door will dictate our whole pattern, our whole setup here. Okay. So we're going to start on the edge here. But before we get into the actual tile installation, let's talk a little bit about what we have, why we're covering it up, and what our options are. So these are, I think they're polypropylene. It's a high density plastic. Right. And there are obviously holes in it so you can see through the tile. These are also rounded. They make a flat version, but these are a rounded version. The reason why I like the rounded the most is, think about this logically. If a piece, let's say this was a small piece of dirt, once it falls, it hits the rounded area, it doesn't sit on top, it's forced to go somewhere. And so the thing is, it goes underneath the tile. Makes sense. So the first logical question people always have is, what about the dirt? Yes. Right? The dirt disappears underneath. That's the magic. That's the whole point. We just vacuumed this up. The amount of dust and dirt that was under that you just vacuumed, which was significant, it wouldn't even have occurred to you. It would have been under the tile. It would have been out of sight, out of mind. Then you can choose to vacuum it when you want. Now, you won't get much suction vacuuming through it? No, it'll pull it right up through it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you had some, I don't know, if they were iron particles. Maybe you have to pull a tile up. But if you have a solid, decent vacuum like your rigid we just used, it'll suck it right up through it.
Okay.
And then the other nice thing, you know, do you have oak trees out here? The little baby oak leaves.
Yeah.
And so the oak leaves blow, they make their way back your driveway. And then in here, they'd make their way all the way to the back of the garage. Well, the cool thing about the tile is all your leaves and things will just get trapped in the first 2 or 3. You could blow it out with a leaf blower, or you could pick up the 2 or 3 of them. All the dirt and stuff from your tires, mud, things like that will work its way under the tile, and you can vacuum at your convenience.
Now, it seems like most of the time when somebody redoes a garage, we do epoxy. So why do you like these better than epoxy?
So epoxy's great when it works.
Okay.
Epoxy's also great if you have an expert. And of course, every epoxy installer is an expert.
Right.
But yet, it very rarely works. And so I found that epoxy at most times fails, has a high probability of failure. And even if diamond grinded and prepped and acid etched and all the things that need to be done to prepare it, the likelihood of it holding up long term and looking like the day it was installed is pretty slim.
Now, is failure scratching or flaking?
This kind of same thing. See all hot tires? You have a hot tire mark there.
Yep.
That can happen. You know, a really good quality polyaspartic or epoxy, usually that won't. You usually won't get tire marks.
But
it can.
Scratchable.
It is scratchable, so one way to combat that is they do the speckles, the little...
so you don't see it.
Yeah, so you won't see it as much. It'll take your attention away from it. I struggle with it largely because, like icy swirls in paint.
Right.
And so when you have swirls in paint, you're never going to have... You're rolling something on a floor. There's really no choice. There's a little bit of self-leveling to it, but there's no choice but to have flies will come and get trapped in it, and that's why they put the chip systems. The chip systems help to mask that.
Gotcha.
I've done every epoxy I've ever seen that doesn't use the chip system eventually looks terrible.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter how much money you spent, doesn't matter who did it. The ones that look like metal, like flowing aluminum and stuff, I did that in my garage before. They eventually tend to turn yellow and brown, and I'm sure there's 2 or 3 experts in the world who can get it really dialed, but I haven't met them. So this is failure proof. You can't screw it up.
That sounds like my
So
recipe.
that's why I stumbled upon this. I hate plastic flooring. I played volleyball in college, and what they would do is they'd take stuff that's thinner than this, you'd go to a convention center, they'd throw it on the floor, and you'd start jumping.
Right.
Imagine the pain in your knees and joints,
I can't.
diving on the floor. So plastic interlocking tiles also tend to warp. Think about your grandpa's garage that has some diamond plate plastic flooring, and it all warps and you walk on it, it clicks and clacks. This doesn't do that, and part of it is because it's rigid plastic.
It's pretty thick.
But it's 3/4 of an inch thick.
Yeah.
And that to me is the value prop of Swisstrax over some of the others.
Okay.
This is why I chose this, is because it's a bigger tile. Just like in your kitchen, if you do a 20-inch tile in your kitchen, it looks more modern, looks nicer versus an old school, 12-inch tile.
Gotcha.
So the bigger tile, I think, looks visually more appealing, and it also clicks and clacks a little bit less.
So we only have connections on 2 sides?
Well, you have pegs on 2 sides and loops on 2 sides.
Okay.
And so if you look at this, so the loops are here, pegs are inside here, inside the channel. Also notice it's channeled for water. Another thing that people have a common question, we don't have that here in Atlanta, but in other areas of the country, you get snow and cinders and salt.
Not interested in that.
You drive in, salt and snow, all that falls below it. What you probably would do is clean it out once a year. You take it out of the garage. I'll show you how easy it is to pop a tile out.
Yes.
But the cool thing about this stuff is it's going to mask our hideous gray floor.
Oh,
and you're not going to see it.
Yeah,
Actually, the fact that your floor is gray is going to make it look nice.
Right.
But we won't see any of this funky tire mark stuff. So it works out to be, I sell it for $3.95 a square foot.
Okay.
And so the tile, this whole garage is roughly 2,000 square feet. So we're at, $8,000 worth of floor tile we're putting in here. If you were doing epoxy, it'd be something similar.
In terms of dollars per square foot?
Yeah, $4, $5, $6, $7 a square foot, depending on how much prep. On this floor, you would have to prep it. They would have to sand it. Yeah, in order to get it to really adhere, I think that they would want to do that.
So the tile that we used here as the transitional area, since you didn't like the the idea of curving it, which I agree was the right decision. I think that was like $450 a foot, and then about I don't know, a couple bucks a foot for an install.
So this is an interesting thing that I'll show you a little better, more close-ups of this, but this is an interesting idea. I love this, how they put a transition, right? So they built it at 3/4, so they back buttered it, right? And built it at 3/4, so our tile will butt right up against to it, and we have this nice metal, what do you call that, transition? Metal molding, and so we'll be able to butt the tile right up to it, so we don't need to do any kind of T-molding or rubber molding, because one thing you can't do with Swisstrax, I mean, I guess you could, but it'd be difficult, is once you cut it, you can't connect it, you can't interlock it. It's not glued down, it's floating. And so the transition here, the triangle, again, the garage doors are going to dictate how our flooring is set up. We're going to start at the door, and that's where it goes. And you'll notice that this door is at an angle from the doors that are over in the main garage. And so we would have had to make a cut, and then we would have had to figure out some sort of way to make a transition, like put a T-molding or something like that in.
So when we start it as such to have this edge clean along this wall?
That's what we're going to try to see how it fits.
Okay.
But even if we had a cut edge, if we cut it cleanly, it'll look the same, but I think we might be lucky and we might be able to just butt it right up to the edge of that. We'll see how it goes. Is that baseboard sticking out? Or is it a smooth
It's not
transition?
perfectly square, but it's good. I think that works. So if
we'll make a little cut there. So what we'll do.
So are you thinking we'll cut one? Well, you want to be even here, so we come across there, right?
Yeah, so the black border is going to dictate that. So what we're going to do is just start laying it out, and we'll move the whole floating floor around, and we'll see how it comes out. So I think that's going to be the way we're going to kind of figure out the way it goes. So when I say this is easy, you don't have to get super exact when you're trying to figure out how to design it.
Okay.
You just simply get yourself a rough idea, make sure you have enough tiles, overestimate, or just call us and we can tell you what to do. So just start tossing tiles here.
And you want them generally laid together or no?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to do that, and then we're going to put our edge piece on. And we're going to figure out where does it make sense to terminate, right? So we probably don't want an edge piece there yet. I think we're probably going to want to make this our dictated, and we'll just cut a small piece and put it in here.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice if we can to keep this buttered up right next to here.
And if it locks, then you've aligned it in terms of proper orientation, I take it. Okay.
But check it out. So if I did that and I wanted to pop it off, nice and easy.
Now, if I want one out of the middle, how do I do that?
I like a paint can opener, a screwdriver, or something like that. But you can see the bulk flooring takes minutes to do, like the main bulk area, and then we just have to make our cuts depending on how this all lines up.
Sure.
So we have it butted up against the molding on the tile side, and then we're obviously going to have to cut a tile there. So now let's take a look at, let's put another row of gray in front of that.
In front?
Yeah, next to the garage door.
Okay.
So you think about this to make it as simple as possible.
Yep.
If I started on that end and went that way, I'd have to lift up one side every time.
Yep.
Now I can just kind of lay it in the corner and just do that.
Cool.
The other thing you always want to make sure you do is be careful, don't put like a tile on top of the thing and step on it. You'll eat it.
On top of what?
So like if you took a loose tile and laid it on top of those other tiles and you stepped on it, the only way to know is my 3-year-old ate it a bunch. And so I learned not to do that myself. There you go. He's already trying to get more efficient, maximize his time.
That's right.
And so they also make these black tiles in rubber. It's called rubber tracks. It looks identical. The problem with this, we don't have any area where we would do rubber because you can't drive on the rubber tiles.
Oh, you can't?
Rubber on rubber is not, doesn't work. It would grab the tile and pull it. Plus, there's a lot of give to the rubber tile. So those are nice in high traffic areas where you're just walking.
Yeah.
It's slightly anti-fatiguing. It's just fascinating how polarizing this floor is.
Oh, people hate it?
Yeah, but only people who've never had it.
Right.
I've only ever had one person who had it said he hated it. So you feel like a darn rock star because we have this done in 20 minutes, but then you got an hour or two of cuts.
Right.
But realistically, you can do an entire, maybe not a garage this big, but in an afternoon, you could do your 2-car garage.
Yeah.
Cuts and all.
I like this.
Now, once you get it down, it doesn't come up. That's what's great about this click-through interlocking system. And notice we haven't solidified it yet, but it's solid.
Yeah. Like, I mean, is it going to be hard for us to slide it towards the door as we want to?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So let's lay out some of our edge pieces here.
Okay.
And then we'll ram it into place.
And the edge pieces don't connect laterally.
No.
They only connect back
Correct.
here.
Cut. All right, let's push the board. Let's go push the thing. Get that one out of there. Let's push this sucker into place. So obviously, we're not going to want to try to push your entire double deep bay.
Right.
Right,
So
the bay
we'll do,
behind us. But here, you can just push the floor into the position.
I can.
Theoretically.
No.
Come on, man. So you can see what's going to happen here is the 4 walls, so your trim, all the walls are going to hold this floor from floating or moving.
Right. Okay.
So short of you trying to do a burnout with it or coming in with a Ford F-250 and trying to make a 360, this tile is not going to move. It's not going to break loose. So the only reason, the disadvantage is, so notice how we have sunlight right now shining in. So let's say you left your door open all the time and the right time of day, sun beats down. If we pressure fit it, what can happen is it'll expand.
Sure.
And it'll swell up. It rarely happens. So if it did, you could always put a cut in it, but I don't think it will. I mean, and how often are you going to leave a door open anyway?
I don't leave them
so
standing open unless we're having a party or something.
Right. And then it's not going to be, the likelihood it would have to hit the tile at the exact right time and make it expand.
Man.
The only thing, it's like 65 degrees in here. If it was like 20 in here, then we would want to leave a gap because when it heated up, it would expand. Not as much as rubber, but it will a little bit. Look at that, just look at that from back here. Oh my gosh. And imagine we have the whole darn thing done. Just legit, oh jeez. So it all comes together, it's all a package, right? So you have the light, the flat walls, the sterile 5K light, the gray floors, and then your floor tiles. This looks like a gosh darn $1 million. What do you think? Looks a little different in here, a little bit brighter. So we got 2 more lights to do and 2 fans. And I gotta bring the darn ISO down. I was running ISO at 1600 in here, and now it's at 640. And I need to run it at like 400. But it's just, everything looks, it's just magical, absolutely magical. And you see the transition over into the flooring over there. Wait till we do the flooring on this side. Holy moly. All right, Ed and I are gonna run over next door and do the other garage. What we'll do is we'll just build the floor the same way we did before. We'll just not go all the way back there.
Yeah.
And we'll just lift those things up onto the floor,
Yep.
2 feet, and then we'll put the tiles in and then we'll put them back.
Cool.
So I don't even think we need to take them out.
Great.
And we got tiles set up over here. We're gonna do the same thing.
Saves us the air change.
So this time, let's not even build the front. Let's just start at the back.
Great.
I think we'll be okay.
I think we will.
I feel like some real work has been done by putting some
we
plastic
did a
on.
thing.
Yeah, well, we did the easy part.
This is the hard part. This is really we're the real heroes of this Swisstrax.
Let me just put my camera right out here. Shift the floor. Oh, I wonder if we're gonna have to get in there. Oh, let's see, what do we? This is your tool for pulling up a tile. It's just sitting right on the shelf here.
Oh, a paint can opener?
Yeah, so what you do, take a paint can opener. I needed to figure out where it connects. Stick it under, pop it out. I can pull the tile out right wherever I want. See, it's awesome.
Perfect. So ultimately you
dump
have
some
to
oil.
Yeah.
What else we got? You still got that mic on?
I do have this mic on.
Perfect. Well, good entrance.
Hi.
All right, so we got a lot done today. We did a little bit of Swisstrax. Mike finished the lighting. That's big. So the scissor lift thing helped us out a lot. Fans will be finished tomorrow. The cabinets are coming tomorrow. We also did
98% of the Swisstrax.
20% of the Swisstrax.
Almost all of it.
Yeah, virtually none of it. You see the wall of us behind here. So good day, good project day. I think we'll see a lot of change tomorrow. We do cabinets. We'll probably lay out the lion's share of the Swisstrax. We'll have the fans done. We'll still kind of be able to take some photos of that. But yeah, good day. Good day. What do you think? It's looking a little different.
It's amazing.
It's funny to see people's faces when they walk in and they're like, whoa. Just wait. Yeah.
It's incredible. Wildly different than what we just had.
So I got a lot of footage for me to send to the editors because I'm not doing it. I decided there's no way I'm getting it done. Anyway, thanks for watching. Tomorrow, more stuff. This is the one byproduct of wearing a lav mic. When you're a mouth breather like I am. Why are you always breathing so heavy? Well, I'm working hard.
That's right. Because we're
Moving
fat and
fast.
old.
I'm moving fast.
Yeah, that was a cattywampus usage of the whopper jaw.
Yes. That's a dumb word. I don't like that one. Probably because I didn't come up with it.
It was like river dancing.